Invoice is a criminal act by our laws, unless we must change the laws to suit the Mohammeds. And it started a long while back. It didn't start now that he announced. So they like to play the victim. The victim he's hoping would give him sympathy among people. And his announcement, I think, is calculating that if he announces, then the U.S. may be a little bit more.
As I listen to the Vice President, the Honorable Dr. Barry Jagdeo, and this is the second time I'm hearing the Vice President speaking about changing the laws for the Mohammed and saying that there are not two laws, but there is only one law in Guyana. When I hear these statements from the Vice President, it's very hypocritical. In my opinion, the People's Progressive Party, Civic, are an illegal government. Just imagine the Vice President standing there in Parliament when he was in opposition, saying that he's...
I'm glad that the government has reintroduced collective bargaining, and I hope that the public service unions will request at least a...
When this Vice President and the wicked regime of the People's Progressive Party, Civic, got into office, even though the gross domestic product of the country, that means the earning of the country, was spent on you, was spent on me. What we earn through our work, our blood, sweat and tears, we trade our life for this. The gross domestic product went up from 5 billion in 2020 when PPP took over to 8 billion in 2021. Now this is because of the oil contract that the PPP had in their possession since 99 under Janet Jagan and couldn't get signed. The APNU got it signed, renegotiated the royalties, got 1% royalty higher than they had it for, and the money, the oil money, the petrodollar started coming in. And as a result, the People's Progressive Party, Civic government are able to look like grand heroes and great businessmen. So as the earnings of the country continue to go up, it seems like the spending potential of the Guyanese people continue to go down. And this same Vice President that promised, that said that we should bargain for 50% along with his illegal government, ignore all unions in this country for the first 4 years, ignoring tens of percentages at a time of Guyanese people development, while they make sure they enrich themselves, their affiliates and their cohorts. And when they were caught and the teachers decided to strike, even though Justice Sandel Kisoon ruled that they couldn't cut the teacher's salary, this government that ignored the right to collective bargaining, the constitutional right of the people, they tiptoed around the issue, waste the court's time and all of these things, and at the end of it, they forced the 10% on the Teaching Service Commission, and as luck would have it, the GPSU, a couple of months after, signed to the same deal, monopolization of the country. So when I hear the Vice President speak about the laws and they're not two laws, I wonder, why is it they're two? Why is it collective bargaining is applicable for APNU, but when it's the PPP, they don't want to honor collective bargaining? So after that, the Vice President continued to speak about the sanction of Mr. Azadi Mohammed and Mr. Nazir Mohammed, saying that the government can't give them special treatment. But we are yet to hear the Vice President and the President speak about sanctioned permanent secretary, a sanctioned woman, Miss May Thomas, who was the permanent secretary in their Ministry of Home Affairs. So this would have been an article that would have been released by the US. To conceal their illegal activity and operate with impunity, Azardine Mohammed and T. Mohammeds have engaged in extensive bribery schemes involving government officials in Guyana, including providing direct and recurring bribery payments to Guyanese government officials to ensure favorable treatment in criminal or civil matters. This would otherwise suggest their involvement in illegal criminal activity. In return, corrupt officials receive cash and gifts for incidents that are overlooked. Additionally, Mohammed's enterprise has paid bribes to corrupt Guyanese government officials to facilitate the award of government contracts. One such official, May Thomas, the permanent secretary to Guyana Ministry of Home Affairs from October 20th through August 2023, and is the current permanent secretary of the Ministry of Labor. A corrupt permanent secretary could manipulate procurement processes to suit their preferred bidder by providing inside information at the early stages of evaluation. Access to a permanent secretary of any ministry could afford contractors insight into upcoming projects and bid values. Permanent secretaries can act as illegal authority to sign contracts on behalf of their ministry. Whilst Permanent Secretary to Guyana's Ministry of Home Affairs May Thomas used her position to offer benefits to Mohammed Enterprise and Azardine, amongst others, in exchange for cash payment and high-value gifts, Thomas misused her position to influence the award of official contract bids and approval process for weapon permits and passports on behalf of Mohammed's enterprise. Now, considering the position that May Thomas was in, or is in, we're not sure. But what we do know is Mr. Mohammed was never no government official. Mr. Mohammed is the Guyanese, and somehow the vice president and the entire government want us to believe that this man was able to evade all these taxes without any help. And I'm not believing it, because we know you can't escape taxes. None of us escape taxes. So for this man to undervalue so much gold that he's saying that he undervalued 10 kilograms of gold, which was an equivalent of 50 million US dollars, he had to have help. Now we know that Miss May Thomas was one of the persons that would have been giving this man some kind of help. And May Thomas is a permanent secretary in your government, or was a permanent secretary in your government for 2 ministries, Honorable Vice President. Why do you continue to speak about Mohammed and the government mustn't bend the laws and change the law for T. Mohammed when we don't hear you say anything about May Thomas? Like May Thomas is just magically not sanctioned anymore. Or May Thomas doesn't have to answer to the same crime and answer to the same constitution in Guyana, because all of a sudden it's all about Azadi Mohammed and there's not 2 laws. Well, it's looking as if there's 2 laws, because we don't hear you guys say anything about May Thomas. And these things that May Thomas is being accused of, I think that the Vice President should be paying attention to that. Bribery, issuing firearms on behalf of the Mohammed. Why the Vice President don't look into these crimes right within his camp? Securing contracts, giving information before bids are announced. Why doesn't the Vice President look into these acts of criminality within his camp and within the PPP? And why doesn't he speak about his plan to get rid of these kind of elements within the PPP? Why does the Vice President want us to believe that what Mohammed did is so bad, but then when it comes to May Thomas, we hear nothing about it? And then the Vice President wants to speak about laws, and there are no 2 laws, after they ignore collective bargaining, which is constitutionally the right of the workforce, and the unions are supposed to represent us. When they said they were going to raise the salary, this is illegal. And the way that they're treating Guyanese, what they pay Guyanese, it should be illegal. And the paying people, it should be illegal. It's a crime against humanity. It's an apartheid. It should be illegal, and this government needs to be investigated as to why they want to keep Guyanese living hand to mouth. Now they got May Thomas, who is a sanctioned woman, but they say nothing about her. If everywhere you go, in every village, every municipality, every region, you got more than 100 people telling you, this is the next president, use the next president, use the next president. Don't worry, Mr. President, keep your head up. You telling me you're not going to decide, man, maybe I should run? The man didn't announce because he want the Americans off his back. The man announced because the people of Guyana been asking him to run, at least based on what I'm hearing. I don't know what you're hearing, Honorable Vice President. So Guyanese brothers and sisters, the government are going to tell us all types of things about laws and about rules of laws, and there's not one law, there's only 1 law, and there are not 2 laws. But just look at how the government said that they were going to respect collective bargaining, forgot about it. What about the law then? And then look at the way they're fixated on Azadi Mohammed and T. Mohammed, but May Thomas was sanctioned with them for criminalities within the government, and they give them a free pass. So is there really 1 law in this country? This is an Eternity Enterprise presentation. Y'all stay safe.